CEO Ron Wickler from Creating the Difference. We're going to talk to you about the positive access point, kind of what it means, why it's important, and we're going to demonstrate kind of how you can find it. Got a bowler's going to throw some shots for us. It's going to help us find it. Now, one of the things you should know right off the bat is you can't find your positive access point yourself. The reason is very simple. When you throw the bowling ball down the lane, where you're going to see the ball come into focus is going to be at the dots or at the arrows. What we're looking for in terms of the positive access point is off of your hand, which is going to happen way down here at the foul line. So you need to know that you need to have somebody else hold the camera for you if you want to find the positive access point. If you want to do this, you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need a piece of tape, and you're going to need to have a couple of extra tools if you have them available, like a Pro-Sect or a grease pencil. And if you don't, that's okay. You can still find it and have your pro shop. They'll have a Pro-Sect and a grease pencil for sure. So we're going to show you kind of how the process works. You get you a piece of white tape. This happens to be 1-inch white tape. That's too big, so we're going to kind of tear that off a little bit, get us a much smaller piece. And then we're going to begin to look for where it would be. Now, he's a right-handed bowler, which means he tracks on the left side of the ball, which means his positive access point is on the right side of the ball, okay? In addition to that, it's going to be some sort of measurement that's going to happen from the center of grip over, up, or down, depending on how they release the ball. With this particular player, he releases the ball. You can kind of see kind of parallel to the fingers and the thumb, so that's going to make the tape be more on the side of the ball if it's parallel. If it's like this, it's going to be down. And if it's like this, it's going to be up, okay? So he's kind of parallel, he's going to be fairly over. Now, we're going to look, and we're going to take a good guess to try to get the PAP. We don't know if this is it or not. We'll go with that spot right there. We'll have him throw it, and then we'll look for this spot off of his hand not to wobble. It may wobble as it goes down the lane, but off of his hand, we don't want it not to wobble because that will be the positive access point, and that is what the Pro Shop's going to use to determine where the pin, the CG, and or the mass bias goes relative to the bowler's positive access point. So I'm going to have Dustin go ahead and throw that ball again, and we'll see how close or how far we are away to being able to locate this. It may take you 1 or 2 times to find the positive access point. It may take you 10 or 15 times. But every bowler will have a positive access point on the bowling ball, and you can do it by trial and error unless you have some other tools. There are some other tools that are available, like an armadillo, that could help. So that wobbled. And then down the lane, it didn't wobble. So because of that, that means we do not have his positive access point located, which is fine, because we can use that information, move the tape, and try to locate his positive access point again. So we'll get the bowling ball, we'll bring it back, we will move the tape, and see if we can find his positive access point. Every bowler can be different. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clean the tape off there. So I'm going to look again, look at the oil lines. It's the first oil line that you want to capture, okay? You don't want to get the ones out here. You want to get the one as close as possible, right? And I'm just kind of looking, and we're kind of eyeballing it. It looks like the positive access point is a little bit lower than what we initially guessed. So we'll take this tape off, and we will slide it down a bit, okay? So we're going to slide it down here, and I'm also going to move it back just a little bit because I think it's actually back a little bit and then down a little bit. So we're going to start right there now and see if that lines up more to be his positive access point. So you, the bowler, can go through this step and find the positive access point, and then you can have your Pro Shop give you the actual measurements. We're going to show you the actual measurements as well once we find it. So we're going to zoom in to that foul line area, which is what we're looking for here. And there we go. So off of his hand, that is his positive access point. That tape was not wobbling. Here's some other little tips that you can use to help find this. If you use a spare ball, it's going to be a little bit easier to find because as the ball flares, or the more the ball flares, the faster the ball will begin to wobble. Now, it won't change the positive access point because we're talking about off your hand. But nonetheless, it's still going to be harder to find, or it'll be a little bit more confusing because it'll move a whole lot faster if you have a bowling ball that has a lot of flare potential. So you may want to avoid that. Now, we found his positive access point. We know that the measurement happens from the center of the grip. So what we're going to do is this part you probably have to go to the Pro Shop for. But we're going to go ahead and make a little mark like so. We're going to measure his span. 1/4, 2 1/8. There is his halfway point. Then we're going to go 90 degrees and make a line. This is the over measurement of the positive access point. We're going to split this right in half. And this is the up measurement of the positive axis point. And then we will split that one more time this way, okay? And then that spot right there is his positive axis point. Now, from a measurement standpoint, we're gonna measure that. So we're gonna go from the center of the grip. His over measurement is 5 1/8 inches, okay? So he's 5 1/8 inches over. You can see that right there. And his up measurement is right at, make sure we got this lined up here. There we go. So there we go. So now we're right at 9/16. So he's 9/16 up. Okay. So his measurements are 9/16 up by 5 and, what did we say? 5 and a. 5. I'm sorry, I forgot. 5 1/8. 5 1/8 over. 1/8 over. So 5 1/8 over by 9/16 up. Now, why does all that matter? So let me explain. So when a pro shop is laying out a bowling ball, they need to know what this measurement is, because what that does is that tells them where to put the pin. So in this particular case, if you wanted to measure the pin distance, which is what people with the pro shop would do on the front side, this is a 5 3/8 inch pin to PAP. So it's 5 3/8 inches from the pin to the positive axis point. If I was to drill this bowling ball for Dustin, and this was 3 inches, so somebody say the pin's right here, 3 inches, he would get more earlier total hook. If we moved it further away, say 6 inches or 6.5 inches, he would get less total hook. And the ball would be a little bit longer. Now, keep this in mind. These measurements or these changes in the pin position are going to give you some tweaks to the ball performance. Same thing if the ball had a mass bias. Moving the mass bias around is going to have a performance effect on the bowling ball. But without knowing this spot, the positive axis point, the 5 1/8 by 9/16, you're not going to have a clue what the ball is going to do. Because if this was laid out for somebody who had only a 4-inch measurement over and 9/16 up, it'd be a much stronger position from the pin position, a much stronger layout for the pin. So it's not necessarily how it looks for the particular ball. It's all about how it looks relative to the bowler's positive axis point. If you don't have your positive axis point, you should go to your pro shop and have them help you find your positive axis point. And you can use that information to begin to get a little bit more insight about how your bowling ball is going to roll after the bowling ball is drilled. As always, if you have more questions or need more information, make sure you check us out at ctdbowling.com. Ronald Hicklin, CEO from Create the Difference. Have a great day.